Last week I was in a session where I recorded a singer-songwriter, and a couple of you reached out and wanted to know, how do you record vocals and acoustic guitar live at the same time? Well, in today's video we're going to answer that question, and it has something to do with these switches on our microphones. So I went ahead and recorded a live version of a song that I'm working on, so we can all learn something today.
When I look into your eyes, I see the ocean blue, the greatest escape I could walk into, and it burns so blue. Yeah, it burns so blue.
If you're new here, welcome back to the channel. I guess I wouldn't say welcome back, huh? If you're new here, welcome. My name's Jacob Samario. I'm a producer based here in Virginia, and I own my own recording studio called English Oak Recording, and that's where we're at today. Now, the biggest problem that you're going to run into if you're recording a singer-songwriter live is getting enough isolation between the vocal and the guitar. So let's solo both the acoustic and the vocal so you guys can see what level of isolation you should be expecting when you're recording this way. So check this out. You can just barely hear the vocal. Now let's listen to the same thing, just the vocal.
When I look into your eyes, I see the ocean blue, the greatest escape I could walk into, and it burns so blue. Yeah, it burns so blue.
We're not using any fancy tricks to get that type of isolation, right? There's really just two things you need to know so you can get great recordings like this. So when you're going into a live session like this, you need to prepare the artist and their expectations, because when you're doing something live, a lot of the end result is reliant on what the artist gives you. For example, if they sing very loud, but they play the guitar very soft, you're gonna have bleed from the vocal into the acoustic mic. So no amount of changing the faders is gonna evenly balance the recording. It really needs to start with a great recording going in. And in this specific example, I'm a pretty quiet singer, so there's a good amount of bleed in the vocal mic, and I had to do it a couple times until I found that natural balance going in, to the microphones to get something I was happy with. And so once the artist knows that they really need to be bringing their A game if you're going to be recording live, there are things that we can do as engineers to get even more isolation out of this type of recording to then have more flexibility in the mix. And that's where our microphones come in. So many microphones have selectable polar patterns. In this case, we're using the figure 8 pattern. And so what that means is the microphone is picking up in front of it and behind it, but rejecting anything below it and to the sides of it. Right, so what I did in this example, you can see I've got the microphone pointed, so it's rejecting the acoustic guitar, but it's capturing the vocal. Let's take a look again at the video so you can see how it was set up.
When I look into your eyes, I see the ocean blue.
So when you're setting up your microphones, we need to think about what the microphone's capturing, and what may be even more important is what the microphone is rejecting, especially in a live session like this. And these polar patterns are really excellent tools at properly capturing whatever you're trying to record. And I find that once I started to understand how polar patterns work, my recordings really reached a new level, which has a trickle-down effect, as you know. If you have a better recording, you're going to have a better mix down the line. And so between managing the artist's performance and utilizing our microphones to the best of our abilities, we can get really well isolated live recordings that allow us to have a lot of flexibility when we mix them. Thank you so much for tuning in to another video. If you want to support us here at the studio, I've got a few links down in the description below. I'll catch you on the next one, and until then, I'll be hanging out in the comment section.